All right, guys, let me present you a problem. So we're going to talk about the rest parameter, but before going into details, let's analyze a common scenario in JavaScript. So imagine I have a function, yeah, and the function is going to add multiple or sum multiple values, yeah. So sum a and b. So the function will simply return a plus b, yeah, nothing particularly complicated. So now obviously I can invoke the function 5 and 6 and that should return 11, yeah, fine, no problem at all. But now I got a question for you guys. What if under some particular circumstances our function somehow receives a third argument, 5, 6, and 2. You may be thinking, all right, yes, of course, we can pass the third argument, and then we can do a plus b plus c, and it works. But what if the third argument is optional? We sometimes have the third argument, we sometimes don't have it. You may be thinking, okay, we can do return, if I got c, then a plus b plus c, else a plus b, yeah? And that should be okay. So you see, if I got the third argument, it works. If I remove it, it should still work. But what if I sometimes have a single argument? Will it work, guys, if I have a single argument? No, that won't work. That returns not a number because c doesn't exist. It's falsy. So then we'll add I plus b. A is 5, which is okay, but b, what's the value of b, guys? So technically it's undefined. That's correct, undefined. So a number plus undefined returns not a number. Yeah, that's why that doesn't work. So I hope you get my points. How can I deal with an unknown number of arguments? How can I do that? Well, that's what we got the rest parameter. So when talking about the rest parameter, there are two ways we can use it. I find the rest parameter API particularly convenient, particularly interesting. Yeah, you know, sometimes I complained about classic JavaScript, things like dates are a bit random to me, the API to manage dates. However, the rest parameter that was introduced in 2015, so that's considered modern JavaScript, I think the syntax is pretty sexy actually. So the rest parameter works in that way. So first of all, if applied on a comma separated list of arguments, gathers them into an array. So what that means? The rest parameter, if it's the first time you came across it, is essentially ... 3 dots. So if I do ... values, for instance, can anybody tell me what type of data values is? That's correct. That's correct. That's an array. In this particular case, what's the value of the array? Once you invoke the function, what will be the value of the, let me call it numbers. What's the value of the numbers array? That's correct. It's an array with 5. If I pass 5, 2, then it will be 5, 2. You see? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many arguments we provide to the sum function. Yeah? Because with a ... it will gather, it will collect them all into an array of numbers. So now, can anybody tell me, that's a classic job interview question for beginners, for junior developers, How can we solve the problem? Can anybody give me an answer about how to solve the problem of adding all the elements of an array? Okay, you tell me the syntax, Panos? Yeah, that will work. Return, that will work. Numbers dot reduce, and then what? Value and total. What do you think, guys? Value and total? Do you agree with the semantics? It's on the other way around, because the first argument is the accumulator, right? So on the accumulator, we'll have the subsequent additions, let's say, yeah? Yeah, we can call it value. What am I typing? We can call it value. Personally, I'll tell you something. If the array is called numbers in plural, for semantics reasons, let me call it number in singular, yeah? All right, and then can anybody complete that expression? Fantastic, then. Fantastic. Total plus number. That's it. Okay? So that will return the result of adding all the values. So if we run it, that returns 7. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Let's practice with reduce once again. So obviously with the default value it works. Let's explain the difference of having versus not having a default value. So Adam, are you connected? Not sure if fantastic. So Adam, on the first iteration, can you tell me what's the value of total? Correct. And then can please Panos tell me what's the value of number? That's correct. So then Minji, can you tell me what do we return? 5, correct. So on the iteration number 2, Ian, what's the value of total? Correct. So what's the next number done? Correct. So what do we return, Adam? That's correct. So on iteration number 3, Panos, what's the value of total? Fantastic. Good catch. There is no iteration number 3, so that returns number 7. Yeah, that's correct. So that's when we have the default value. But now, let's remove the default value. Let's make it a bit more complicated, guys. Let's make it a bit more complicated. Without the default value, iteration number 1, Minji, what's the value of total? Why 5? Can you explain that? On the first element of the array. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. Yeah, you get that, guys? Now the total is 5 because as there is no default value, total takes the first element of the array, which is number 5. So then, what's the number, Ian? The first number. 2. So what do we return then? 7. So on iteration number 2, Adam, what's the value of total? Do you agree on that? Okay, fantastic. So Adam, let's continue. You continue, Adam. So what's the next number? So what do we return on the second iteration? What do you think, guys? Any thoughts about the second iteration? Yes, we've seen that's the right result. So what's wrong here? Can anyone tell Alan what's wrong here? No one? Fantastic, Minji. Thank you very much. There is no second iteration, guys, because on the first one we've finished the array. Yeah. Number 2, that's it. There is nothing else. There is nothing else. So in other words, if we don't have the default value, we are saving one iteration. So technically speaking, is more performant, yeah, even though obviously that doesn't make any difference, yeah, from a human point of view here. But technically speaking, we save one iteration. Yeah, Panos? Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying, yeah, you're absolutely right, Panos. Yeah. So it's not that simple to get rid of the default value. In some occasions, like this one, it works. But if you try to do other sort of operations, that won't work. So be careful. Be careful. You need to be sure that you can remove it, yeah, because otherwise you may ruin it. Yeah? But in this particular case, it works. Yeah. So that's the way you can essentially add numbers of an array. So is there any question so far? Go for it. Yep. So you want to have 2 arrays, 5 and 2, and then 3 and 7. That's interesting. So now, Minji, how many arguments your sum function has? That's correct. We have 2 arguments. So by using the res parameter, we are gathering them into an array. An array of what? An array of 2 arrays. So, yeah, say it again. You guys what? Yeah. So that's what you want. Obviously, if you want to add these values, you need to, I don't know, use a nested loop or something like that. Well, there are different techniques. Yeah? I'm not going to explain how to do that right now, but there are different techniques. Also, if you are very curious about how to add these numbers, even though there are different manual techniques, looping, iterating, spreading, whatever, now there is, let me show you something. In the latest version of JavaScript that was released in the last summer, they added a new method called array flatten, I think, in JavaScript. Array flat. So that's a very new method that in theory helps you. You see, Minji. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 array.flat. It just creates a flat list. I mean, let's try that because I think that's a very interesting example. By the way, where is my snippet? Hello, Google Chrome. Google. Guys, it was here, right? Where is it? It's gone. What the hell? Whatever. I think I took the decision, guys, to stop using Google Chrome starting from, I don't know, some point, yeah? Every version is working worse than the previous one. Not sure if it happened to you, but because Google Chrome, first of all, DevTools are completely messy. DevTools is completely messy. It fails a lot. I mean, you just saw what happened. This is recorded, right? I touched nothing, and suddenly my snippet is gone. I don't know why. That's the first thing. Also, I don't know what happened with the latest version, but every time I restart my laptop, every time I restart my laptop, all my cookies are gone. That means I need to sign in into every single website. What the hell is that? I don't have any extensions, guys. I don't have anything weird on my laptop. So yeah. That's too much. That's too much. I've been using Chrome since 2009, and I've seen the evolution of the browser, which is for many developers, including myself, is the new Internet Explorer. Anyway, let me bring the example back. So no. I will try to use Safari or Firefox or something like that. So the new flattening array, that's completely unrelated to the workshop. So the new flattening array, in theory, if you got 1, 2, 3, and 4 dot flat, in theory, here you go, it works, right? Which is great. So back to what Minji said. So you got add numbers. I'm just rewriting the example that Google decided to remove. So add 5 and 2, I think it was, right? And then what we did is return numbers dot reduce total number total plus number. So we did something like that, right? And then it works, fantastic. So now here we're gathering the arguments. So obviously if we do that, that won't work because numbers is an array of 2 sub-arrays, 5, 2, 3, and 6. Yeah. However, based on that new flat expression that personally I never use because it's very new, but yeah, let's learn something off topic. Yeah. So in theory, numbers.flat, it will return 5, 2, 3, and 6, right? If the theory is correct, and because that's a flat list of numbers, then boom, it works. Fantastic. I love it. Yeah, array.flat. Then you can use it. But yeah, anyway, without going that far, remember that the beautifulness about this the rest operator or the rest parameter is that it gathers all the arguments in the list. It doesn't matter if we have 1, 2, 3, or 40. Yeah, it gathers them all. It gathers. Let me write it again. So rest parameter dot gathers a comma separated list of arguments. So if you get A, B, and C, let me change that. So dot ABC equals A comma B comma C. Yeah. Any questions about the first way of using the rest parameter? No? Cool. Fantastic. There is a second usage about the rest parameter, which is spreading. Spreads an array into a comma separated list of arguments. So it's essentially the other way around. Yeah. So if you got dot A, B, C, that's the same as A, B, C. Yeah. That's the other case. Let me present you a problem. The similar problem, but on the other way around. Do you know, guys, how to get if I got 3 numbers? So for instance, look, I want to get the minimum value in a list. Yeah. Minimum value 5, 3, and 8. The minimum value is 3, obviously. Yeah. So if I got 3 arguments, A, B, and C, can anyone tell me how to get the minimum value in the list? Fantastic, then. Math.min, and then what? Correct? Is a math.min receives a comma separated list of numbers, and then it returns the minimum one. Yeah, fantastic. It works. But now the question is, what happens if I'm passing an array of numbers? So how many arguments, first of all, our function has now? Wrong? That's correct, Minji. We have a single argument, an array. Yeah, so let's call it array if you want. So now, will that work? No, because math.min works with a comma-separated list of arguments, not with an array. You can see it returns not a number because math.min doesn't know what to do. However, look at how cool, look at how sexy this is. I got the array. If I spread it, you see, I'm transforming an array into a comma-separated list of arguments. So now, you see, it works regardless of how many elements I have in the array. Any questions? Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, right? I mean, without the spread operator, it would be much more difficult to deal with these operations. We will need to loop. I mean, without using math.min, we will have to, without using math.min and without using the spread or the gather, well, sorry, the spread operator in this particular case, we will have to do let min value equals, I don't know, something completely stupid, and then we'll have to do array dot for each number if number is smaller than min value, then min value equals number, and then return min value, something like that. Yeah, I believe. So this unnecessary long snippet can be easily replaced by that one. You can see how different ways of dealing with JavaScript we got. By the way, that's bullshit, right? Never do a job interview doing something like that. Can anyone tell me what should be... you get my point, right? I'm trying to set up a huge min value just to make sure that I can detect any smaller number than that. So can you tell me any better way to do that? Because, I mean, that may fail, right? What happened? I mean, will that work? Correct, that will return just one, Ian. Why? Because that condition is never satisfied. Yeah, all the numbers are above that min value. And you may be thinking, okay, but then increase the value to 10. And then it works unless someone sends data with higher numbers. You get my point, right? I mean, that's bullshit. That's horrible. Yeah, you can keep increasing the number, but eventually, it's just a matter of time that your algorithm will break. So let me show you two ways of solving the problem in a more elegant way. First of all, my min value by default is, for instance, the first element of the array. Yeah, so at least I know that the min value is one element of the array. It doesn't matter how large the list is. Another alternative is to use something in JavaScript. I don't know why no one uses that. There is a property called math.mean_safe_integer, I think. Integer. Actually, let me try that on the terminal at the bottom. No, math.mean is not mean_safe_integer. Let me check on Google. So JavaScript min value mean_safe_integer, no? Number, sorry, not math. Yeah, that was my fault. It's not math.mean_safe_integer. It's number.mean_safe_integer. That's the minimum value allowed in JavaScript based on the 64 bits architecture, whatever. Yeah. You obviously you also have the max safe integer. So that could be an alternative. Say, hey, by default, no, sorry, not the mean. I want mean value max. Not sure if you're following me, guys. I'm trying to set a very, very, very stupidly high minimum value to make sure that at some point that condition is satisfied. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not asking you to really follow that snippet. The thing is, my message is, regardless of the approach you follow, you know that you can write a manual algorithm to identify what is the minimum value of an algorithm if you got an array, or simply by using the res parameter, you see how simple this is. So that simple line of code solves all the problems. Yeah, I hope you agree with me. Is a much better way of dealing with min numbers. Any questions? Anyone else? Thank you, Adam. Yeah, many. So the res parameter is super cool because you can do so many things. Let me present you the last example. So I want to create a method called join. Array 1, array 2. Yeah. So we have two arrays, 6 and 4, and 2 and 5. Yeah, for instance. So essentially, what we want to get is 6, 4, 2, and 5. Yeah, does the problem make sense? You know what I want to do, right? I want to create a simple array. That's a classic job interview question, because there are so many ways. I could spend 2 hours solving the problem, following different techniques. Yeah, and obviously some techniques are better or smarter than others. Yeah, so can anyone tell me one technique, one way of solving the problem? I like that. Nice, Minji. Okay, how can we use flat here? Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, so guys, you know what I'm asking these questions? Because an employer can ask you that, and essentially they want to see what's your ability to deal with algorithms. Yeah, how many techniques you can think about. So flat is fantastic, because if you said flat, you prove first of all that you know how to solve the problem. You know how to solve the problem very efficiently, and you really know what's going on with modern JavaScript, because flat is like 8 months old, so it's a very new, very new feature. So to solve the problem with flat, we should do something like that. Look, I create an array, yeah, with the 2 arrays. So in reality, so far here, what I have is 6, 4, 2, 5. Yeah. But now, if I do flat, that should be transformed into 6, 4, 2, and 5. Yeah. In theory, let's see if it works. Yeah, fantastic. So that's definitely a great solution. Give me another one. Okay, let's leave that. Yeah, of course you can use the spread operator, but let's leave it for the next one. So without using the spread operator, can you think about a different way of solving the problem? No? All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So what Adam is suggesting is result equals empty array, and then array, what's your point? Array 1 dot for each number result dot push number, and then array 2 the same thing, right? And then return result. Something like that? Adam? Okay, let's see if it works. Yes, it works. Yeah. To me, this is probably the worst solution possible. But the worst solution is much better than nothing. Yeah. So if I have to select a Unity developer and no one can give me an answer, but Adam gave me that answer, at least he proves he had the ability to deal with algorithms. Yeah. So I'm I wouldn't say, no, I'm not going to hire that person because he gave me that solution. No? Everything is relative. So that depends on what your colleagues or what your rivals in that position said, let's say, right? So, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let's leave it here. Let me show you a simpler way to solve the problem, guys. Before using the spread operator, can we do return array1.concat array2? Yeah, let's see if it works. Yes, you see how simple it is? Concat, guys, a very, very popular method in modern JavaScript. I got the array1 and I want to concatenate the second array. Easy peasy, right? Any questions, guys? Are you still sleeping today? Hello? Yeah? Yeah, that's actually my next point. So we've seen so far 3 techniques. First of all, one of the most beautiful ones, using flat, then using concat, then the manual approach, looping through each array, and now let's use this spread operator, guys. Look at how cool this is. Return new array dot 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 array1 dot 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 array2. That's it. Why that works? Because array1, so essentially, without the spread operator, we had a nested array, an array of arrays, yeah? So we have 6 and 4, and we got 2 and 5, yeah? That's what we are returning so far. That's not, I mean, we can try that. You see, we got an array of arrays. That's not what we want in reality. That's not what we want. What we want is a flat array. So if we use the dot dot dot, the spread operator, we are express an array into a comma separated list of arguments. Yeah. So we're transforming an array of 6 and 4 into 6,4. And likewise, if we have an array of 2 and 5 and we use dot dot dot, we are extracting the array elements into a comma separated list. Yeah. That's why it works with the array, with the rest operator, using as a spread. Questions? Yes. Yes. Okay, that's a good question, because, okay, so look, imagine that after having that, you want to return the minimum value in that array. Yeah? What's the minimum value? It's 2. But how do we... Actually, that's a good exercise. Let me remove that. Let me send that on Slack with all the comment and code and everything, so you can play a bit with it afterwards. So, yeah, you got the snippet on Slack already. So imagine that the problem is... get the minimum value. Yeah, within 2 arrays. So what you can do is math.min. What do you think, guys? Will it work? It wouldn't work because math.min doesn't work with arrays. So can anyone tell me how to solve the problem? That's absolutely brilliant, then. That's absolutely brilliant. That's correct. Look. Oh, that's super cool. You see? So first of all, we flat the array. Yeah, you see the highlighted code? We are flattening the array. So we have an array of numbers. And then we are spreading these numbers again. So we got a comma separated list of numbers. Does it make sense? Yeah, cool. So one last thing. What happened, guys, if let me go back, let me simplify the example a bit. Just a couple of numbers, so we can gather them, yeah, with numbers, and then So we will need to do something like that, right? So first of all, we gather all the numbers. Yeah. So what type of data numbers is, guys? That's correct, Minji. It's an array with 6 and 3 because we are gathering them all. Yeah. And then here, what are we doing here? We're spreading them again. You see, into 6 and 3 because that's what math.min means. Yeah, or needs. Yeah, that's the way it works. But now the question is, what happened? What happened if I got something like that? How can we solve the problem? Imagine that because of whatever reason, we have a first argument that we don't really want to contemplate, to consider as part of our algorithm, because that's some sort of message. So, well, will this work, first of all? No. Why not, Minji? Correct. Now, numbers is something like that, right? So that doesn't make sense. That returns not a number because JavaScript doesn't know what is a smaller number, 6 or hello. That doesn't really make any sense, right? So can anybody think about how to solve the problem? Yep, you're absolutely right, Minji. So we can do that. Look at how cool this is, guys. So what I'm doing here is I'm declaring an argument, message or text or string or whatever, yeah, and that argument will be assigned to the first variable, and then all the others will be gathered by the numbers variable. Yeah. So you can, for instance, do console.log the message is, and then message. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with it, right? So now numbers is an array of numbers, so we can safely run any operation with it. So you see, the message is hello, and then we return the number that we want to find. So definitely we can do that, and we can pass as many arguments as we want. So hello, Codri. So we can do message 1, message 2, yeah, whatever. The messages are message 1, message 2, yeah. So if we run it again, the messages are hello, Codiri, and then we'll leave the remaining ones for the numbers. Any questions, guys? Thank you, Panos. Anyone else? Any questions? Thank you. And the very last question. Can we do it on the other way around? So can we gather everything except, for instance, the last 2 arguments? That's correct, Adam. That's correct. To me, that's something JavaScript should incorporate at some point. What I'm doing now is not correct. It's not correct. I cannot gather everything apart from the last 2. I don't know why. Because if you think about it, why not, guys? I think, I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of time. JavaScript will incorporate that feature. Yeah, but today you cannot do that, unfortunately. You cannot do that. So if you had to do that, you will need to do something quite messy, like gather them all, and then you'll have to. So that will be like I don't know, args, and then you'll have to do numbers equals args.slice or splice. So you'll have to obtain. You have to know. You need to do something quite tricky to figure out where your numbers are within that array. So anyway, for now, just let you know that when you gather arguments, it only works when the remaining ones are at the end of the list of arguments. When they are at the beginning, that's not supported today by JavaScript. What's the message you get on line 2? Rest parameter must be the last formal parameter. Yes. That's right. Anything else, guys? Cool. Fantastic. So let's leave it here. Let's do a short break of 5 minutes, and then we'll talk about higher order functions. Thank you for watching, guys.